The issue of perspectives is one of the key themes of the TOK course and really centres on the idea that different individuals and groups understand the world differently. This video seeks to explain why there are different perspectives from first principles. What this really means is to go back to the most fundamental elements in order to explain why a phenomena is the way it is. Therefore, in this case, the video will go all the way back to sense perception in order to explain why this most fundamental method of knowing leads to different perspectives and ways of understanding the world around us. The conclusion is that perception is a result of the raw sense data delivered by your sense organs to your mind, and then the mind-dependent concepts and theories organising that raw sense data. If we accept that different individuals and groups of people can have different concepts, ideas and theories, often referred to as frameworks and schema, then it makes sense to conclude that different people will also perceive and indeed interpret the world around them differently. For me, the theme of perspectives when linked to sense perception really invokes a classic skeptical argument, the argument from illusion. Day to day, we're all quite used to experiencing illusions. For example, the appearance of water on hot tarmac, as in this photo of the Panamericana here in Peru. We're very able to manage illusions by flipping between what appears to be the case and what we maybe really understand to be the reality of the situation. The following two images are classics of this topic. The first is called Duck Bunny and the second is the old woman, young woman. If you can move between the perception of the duck and the bunny and the same of the old woman and the young woman, the image itself is not changing. The raw sense data does not change. However, how you perceive and understand that sense data is the reason why you interpret the image differently. When you perceive a duck, you are organising the image according to the concept of a duck you have in your mind. Just to clarify the key terms here, perception is really what you think there is, how you perceive the world. And that is a result of sensation, the raw sense data supplied to your mind by your sense organs, and schema, which is really mind-dependent frameworks, including concepts and theories, which organise, interpret, and structure that sense data. The issue of perspectives can ultimately lead to skepticism. The reason for this is that if different people perceive and interpret the world differently, then that will lead to different knowledge claims. And if it transpires that it's impossible to show why one perspective is better or preferred to another, then you might argue that there are no truths or possibly multiple truths. One formulation of this is Descartes' illusion argument. Descartes really, through his meditations, is trying to find a certainty upon which he can build a body of knowledge. Descartes' version of this skeptical argument begins with the idea of illusions and his senses deceiving him. We can link the differences between appearances and reality to theories of perception. The first diagram here, that of direct realism, sometimes known as common sense realism, states that how we perceive the world is how it is. Indirect realism, on the other hand, accounts for the possibility of illusions and alternative perspectives, since it suggests that appearances, albeit informed by the world beyond our minds, are not necessarily representative of how the world is. Relating directly to optical illusions, the second criticism is that the differences between perception and how the world really is due to physical causes doesn't necessarily mean there's a distinction between appearances and reality. Rather, this is due to a mere misunderstanding of the initial perception. But, and linking to the example of the half-submerged pencil, once we have an understanding of refraction, we are then able to recognize that the appearance of the bent pencil is an optical illusion. This really supports the idea that mind-dependent concepts and theories are very much part of how we understand the world and contribute to our construction of our perceptions. This idea of perception really strikes at the heart of what theory of knowledge is about. It is really about knowledge, and the hope is that our knowledge accurately describes the world around us. However, knowledge and the world out there beyond your mind are not necessarily the same thing. In conclusion, perception is a result of raw sense data organized by mind-dependent concepts and theories, often called frameworks and schema. Different people or groups of people have different schemas and frameworks organizing their raw sense data. Therefore, they have different perspectives with regard to knowledge of the world around them. The ultimate problem of perspectives for knowledge is the skeptical challenge. If people have different perspectives, then how can we tell which is preferable to another or which perspective is true? Therefore, skeptics argue there are either multiple truths or possibly no truth at all.